All right, now that we have our inputs and our outputs, it's time now to go ahead and start the pseudocode, the actual logic to actually solving these problems, okay, this particular problem. And again, what's our first step? If you go through that list one more time, our ultimate goal is to do our outputs one at a time. Once we have these in logical order, which means what we're going to solve first and second, third, and fourth, I don't care about all of them. All I care about is the first one. Once I finish that, I go to the second one, third one, and fourth one. Make sure you're doing that to yourself. Make sure you're following this. I swear to you, if you do, life is so much easier. Okay? So with that said, we go in here, we're going to start our pseudocode. Once again, make sure you do your pseudocode and your design very similar to what I'm doing. You don't need to number it or anything like that. Just inputs, outputs, and and then it's do the pseudocode next. And what I like to do is say get, okay, I want to get rid of those underlines here. Pardon me for that. And we'll get rid of that. There you go. And we're going to start with getting our inputs. In this case, base price. Okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and call it BP for the sake of typing here. And then trade in, we'll do TI. And then we'll have our accessories and we'll have our finish. We're going to discover that those accessories and finish are a little bit unique in what we're doing, okay? But we'll kind of look at it because what is it that we're asking? Do you want a stereo? I mean, do you want a sound system? Do you want leather? Do you want navigation? So all of them are categorized under accessories, but they're really a true false type of thing, almost like a Boolean type of thing, okay? And so that's what we're going to be asking. Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Let's go through this. Our very first thing we need to do here is get our outputs, correct? And so to do our outputs, our very first one we're going to do is our AF price. That's our very first one on the line. We need to calculate AF price. And so how do we calculate it? If we sit back and look at our example again, AF price is based upon what options we pick and what finish we pick. Well, to get that, obviously, we're going to have to ask questions. Haha. Do you want a sound system? Do you want leather? Do you want navigation? And which finish do you want? You get the standard. Do you want anything beyond the standard? Do you want pearlized or do you want custom detailing? We have to ask that logically. Let's go back to what I stated many times before. This is a manual process. Write the instructions like you would actually do it without a computer. Let's don't worry about computers right now. How would you write these instructions? So if I came in and you were my salesperson for my car, and I sat down with you and I said, okay, here you go. And you said, well, here's your base price of the car. Let's just say it's $25,000 for this car. And you say, okay, at $25,000, and you might look at me and say, hey, Bob, do you want a sound system or an upgraded sound system, whatever? And I would say yes or no. And then based upon that answer, you would add to this AF price. Correct? Then you would say, do you want leather? Then you would say, do you want navigation? And I would say yes or no. And based upon those answers, you would either add to the AF price or you wouldn't add to the AF price. Does that make sense? That's the logic behind it. Okay? The logic doesn't have to be hard. It's just normal everyday living. So don't make it hard. As soon as you do, it becomes hard. As soon as you keep it simple and you start relating it to how you would do it without a computer, it's not too hard at all. Okay, sometimes students say, oh, I'm in a programming class, this must be hard. But right now I'm telling you, don't even think about programming. Don't even think about anything. How would you write the instructions on how you would do it if you and I sat down and was doing this on a piece of paper? And I'm telling you, every program you write, you can do it the exact same way. So what am I asking? Bob, do you want a stereo system or a sound system? And so that's what I would ask. And we would do it with our conditional structure. If, I want a sound system, so I can just say it like this, a sound system, then, okay, I'm going to take my AF price and I'm going to add to it, correct? Right now it's 0, so AF price, I'm going to do it this way. And we're going to make it equal to AF price, it'd be 0, plus, and I believe my sound system, I should remember these, is $500. You guys remember this. 500, 1,000, 1,500. We can probably remember that now from now on. I'm going to add $500 to it. That's pretty simple, right? Like I said, if I sat down with you, if you ask me, you go, okay, your base price is 25,000. If you want a sound system, I'm going to add another $500 to it, and that's what I'm doing right here in a top-down, step-by-step approach. If I don't want a sound system, I can sit back and say else. I'm not going to add anything to my AF price. I can very easily write this right here, okay, like this, okay. I'm not going to add anything to it, correct? And then and if, just like this. Well, if I'm not going to do anything to it, once again, if you remember from the previous video, I can do what's called an assumed else. And I can take this out, and I'm just not going to do anything to it. And I can just say, if the sound system, then I want to do this. What do you think? Does that make sense? I would do that for each and every one. Sorry, went the line down there. I would do that for each and every one of my options or my accessories here. So I'm going to go ahead, make this a little bit easier for you to see. And then what I would do here is, and I would change this. Well, okay, how about the next one? Do you want leather? Okay, and if you do, that will be $1,000 more to it. And then finally, do you want navigation? Okay, and that will be 1,500. So 3 separate questions, each one is mutually exclusive of each other, meaning these are options. I can have them all, or I can have one, or I can do none. I can say no, no, no to each one, right? So if I said no here, fine, I don't add to it. If I said no here, fine, I don't add to it. If I said no here, fine. Oh, so my price so far up to at the end of this would be my base price. If I said yes to all of these, my price would be, let's see, what's this? $3,000 plus my base price, correct? Meaning adding all those together. It's still top down, people. Everything starts here and goes down. Pretty cool? Take that in, listen to that, and make sure you understand it. My next questions I need to ask is what? I still got my accessories, I just did that, so now I have my finish. How do I want to ask my question for my finish? I can sit back and say, well, do you want, it comes standard, whoops, it comes standard, I don't know why this thing pops on for me, and so what I could actually ask if you want a pearlized finish, right? Then if you do, we're going to take the AEF price and we're going to add, let's go up there and see what the prices were of those. I forgot that too. My pearlize is 500 and my custom detailing 750. So I'm going to add another $500 if you want pearlize, right? I could sit back and end if this here, let's like this. And then what I can do is say, well, whoops, sorry. It's always fun doing this as you're talking and teaching and recording and everything else, right? So what I can say here is if you want a custom finish, right? Then I'm going to add 750, right? And of course, the last one here, let's go ahead and put this on here and talk about a little bit, is do you want the standard finish? And if I do, I'm not adding anything to it. Now let's look at these a little bit harder, okay? So I'm coming in here and I'm saying, do you want a pearlized finish? And I say, yeah. So we're sitting down, right? And you're my salesperson again. Bob, do you want you want a sound system? Sure. Do you want leather? Oh, definitely. Do you want a navigation? No, I got my phone. I'm good there. Okay, we're gonna add $1,500 to the base price. So 500 here and 1,000 here. So I'm gonna add 500 first. Go to the next question. Add 1,000. You don't want this. I'm not gonna add the 1,500. What kind of finish you want? Oh, I'm good. It's the standard finish is fine with me. Okay, so do you want a pearlized finish? Well, okay, I just told you I wanted a standard finish. So why are you asking me this? Okay, well, so no. Okay, cool. How about the custom finish? Well, once again, I just told you I wanted the standard finish. Why are you asking me this question like this? Okay, well, gotcha. So the standard finish then? Yeah. So how can I write this? It could be a little bit different, all right? These aren't really mutually exclusive of each other. These are options here, but here is more, I'm going to pick one. If I wrote it like this and went straight down, it's really not wrong. It's not wrong at all, but there's some inefficiency to it, right? even if I wrote this a little bit different and I asked standard first, and so maybe you come up to me and say, hey, Bob, do you want this to keep the standard finish? I said, yeah, cool. I'm going to add 0 to that. Okay, good. Okay. How about the pearlized finish? Well, no, we just went through that. It was standard. Okay, guy, how about custom? So we don't want to do this. So this is where our nested if comes into play. So I can sit back and say, if I don't want this, if I want the standard finish, okay, I'm going to sit back and say this right here. Let's look at this right here. I'm trying to rewrite this a little bit. There you go. Let's see if I can. That's all right. We'll indent it this way. If I want the standard finish, I'm going to add 0 to it, and then I'm going to fall out of my structure. Else, I don't want the standard finish. Then I'm going to ask the question, do I want a pearlized finish, right? If I want a pearlized finish, I'm going to add $500 to it. Else, if I don't want that one, more than likely, I want the custom finish. And so I can ask the question then, so custom finish for you? And he would say, yeah, it is. And I can then finish my structure like this. What do you think? Okay. Let's see if I can get, whoops, IF, there you go. There we go. So if it's standard, I add 0. I'm not going to ask any more questions. I fall out. You see how that works? That's the true. If I don't want standard, then I'm going to ask the question. Then I will ask the question, how about pearlized? If I want pearlized, I add 500, and then I fall out. This is this nested if. This one takes a little bit getting used to. See if you can get used to it. If I said I don't want standard finish, I fall here. If I don't want pearlized finish, then finally I say, well, then you want a custom finish, correct? What do you think of that? So this one now is written a little bit different in these. These are, I can pick either any or. This one's pick one and one only, correct? Okay, and that's how I could do it. Can I even write this a little bit better? I think I probably could. If standard finish is always assumed, right? Standard, I'm not going to do anything to it. Why even ask the question? So really what I can do is do something like this and say, oh, let's see if I can do this. There you go. Trying to deal with words, tabbing and this. So look at this. If pearlized finish, then AF price equals this. Else, if I don't want pearlized finish, I'll ask him if I want custom finish. If it's custom finish, I'll add 750. If I don't want custom finish, I have this assumed else right here that says, then you must want standard, and thus it's 0. And I'm not really doing anything. So the only thing I'm doing is if I wanted something besides standard, either pearlized or custom, I'm going to add to it. That's a bit much, right? You might need to listen to that a couple times, and again, you'll practice this. But you'll see in this case, when I have a situation that I want to pick one, I need to probably do a nested if. I could have wrote it like I did before, like I did these 3 up here. It would work. It'd just be obnoxious. So I'm sitting back saying, okay, yeah, I want pearlized. And then the next thing you're going to ask me is, do you want custom? I said, I just told you I want to pearlize. Though that doesn't end the world, and though that's not that big a deal, it is inefficient. Why ask the next question when you already know what you want, meaning you can only pick one? Hopefully that makes sense. All right? I'm going to come down here a little bit. Let's see, I had a bunch of code down here. And see, I'm going to bring this up, and then we'll finish this up together. Yeah, here we go. And so forgive me. In this case, I'm going to delete it. So you don't have to sit here and watch me type anymore, okay? And so we'll take this up here, and then basically after we're done with this, we'll go up here and we'll say, did we solve for AF price? The answer is we did. Now we move on to tax, and how tax would work in this case, as I said, is going to be base price plus AF price. I'm going to take that total, and I'll add that to the tax right here. I could have wrote this also very easily like this. Okay, sometimes it's good to separate it though. I kind of like how this was here, but I could have very easily did this like this. I have no problem with this either, okay? And have tax. Just don't make this too much. Maybe if it starts becoming more than what this is, I would separate it. So we have our tax. Our subtotal is our base price. Our base price. let's see, there you go right there, plus what I say, my AF price plus my tax, and my amount due is my subtotal minus my trade-in. And then I'm going to display all those outputs. And that is my design, right? Because I solved tax, I solved subtotal, and then I finally solved amount due. Does that make sense? Pretty cool? All right. So again, your pseudocode should look like this, okay? You don't need to number things. Do it straight down, okay? Because it'll be very easy for us to take this pseudocode and apply it to our real life programming language, whatever language it is. Remember, when you design your program, you're not doing it for a specific language. You're solving the problem. And by solving the problem, this is how you go about doing this, okay? And we can take it from there. Okay, there you go. What we'll do next is, in the next set of videos, is kind of get into the program now and start understanding how to apply this. And in doing so, learn about a couple of new controls that can make the input of some of these things a lot easier.